What is a bad parenting tip that sounds like a good parenting tip? Part 2. Console them when injured and don't let them climb or find themselves in any hazardous situations. Now, I don't mean to say never console any injury, just most. I stopped reacting at an early age with my daughter while allowing her to jump on the bed and climb ladders and balance on wood piles, and I have the toughest, most independent child ever. Serious falls. She just gets up and walks away. No tears. She has incredible hand-eye coordination and impeccable balance. Please note that the statement is within the realm of reason. It's not like I'm telling her to suck it up with a split forehead or encouraging her to climb on zoo fences. Here's what my dad used to say if we got hurt. You bleeding? You dying? No? Go back outside and play. And if we did get really hurt, he'd just wash it out, Neosporin or alcohol, Band-Aid, good to go. I had a pretty large gash on the side of my leg from a broken part of my bike. It was big enough that any parent with no experience in parenting would have called an ambulance and wanted to get stitches for their kid. Not my dad, though. Wash it out, put some salt on it, clean it again, Neosporin, some gauze and gauze tape, and I was good to go. Nowadays, I'll actually hurt myself, like cut the tip of my finger off with a vegetable peeler, and I'll just go, I'll live, and just clean it off and keep going. Thanks, Dad. Keep the household quiet when baby is sleeping. We are a busy household. 4 dogs, 2 cats, a 2-year-old, and a 2-month-old. If I want to blend a smoothie, listen to music, or vacuum the house, I do it. We do not tiptoe. My kids sleep through noise. As long as you don't do what my folks did. Namely, anything is fair game while the kids are sleeping, but if you so much as run a faucet too loud while parents are sleeping, it's yelling. Reward your kid with food and treats. Sounds like a good, easy, cheap reward system for when your kid does well in school or finish their chores quickly. My parents did it with me. But the issue is that since they did that, I hold food as being extremely important, and when I have free reign of my own food, I will reward myself for every minor thing I did. Oh hey, I took the trash out. That deserves a cookie. Oh, I went to bed a bit early. That deserves some candy. I had a good KDA and SGO. I should get a piece of cake. Maybe it doesn't work like that for everyone, but most of the people I've met who are overweight or were overweight said they have similar relationships with food, and it was because their parents used it as a reward. I am fighting it though. I've lost 30 pounds in a little over 2 months just from cutting out sugar as much as possible and taking a walk every night. But it's hard for sure, and I would have rather my parents rewarded me with experiences and quality time together instead of with food. I read about a Chinese parent that would reward their kids with vegetables, and it eventually brainwashed them to loving vegetables. Always tell your kids to finish their food. This honestly just promotes obesity and an unhealthy lifestyle, although I get the idea of telling them to finish what's on their plates. It really depends. I'm pretty sure my mom, coming from someone who is overweight their entire childhood and has emotional eating issues, I had free-range snacks and food. While my mom constantly asked me if I wanted to be fat, yet kept buying cheese sticks, fruit roll-ups, gummies, cookies, juice. Oh, the juice. I never drank water growing up, even in high school. Side note, we never have juice in the house. It's a treat, and my son constantly asks for water. Yay! But anyway, some kids, like mine, will refuse meals and constantly ask for snacks, gummies, cookies, etc. He will say he isn't hungry and 5 minutes later ask for sweets. He, age 4, gets well-balanced meals. We use the divided plates, and one section will have veggies, one will have meat, and another will have a grain, yogurt, or fruit, and is expected to finish them if he wants a treat later. If he can't finish it at that moment, that's fine, I'll put it away, but he isn't getting anything else until he finishes his meal. If he's hungry an hour later, he's eating the meal. I'm pretty proud of the fact that my son's favorite food is supposedly broccoli. Tip: if your kid will only eat chicken nuggets, for example, tell them they aren't getting the chicken nuggets. My son hated vegetables. It was only a matter of getting him to try it multiple times to get used to the taste and texture. It took a year, but he is the world's least picky eater. Give your child free rein to self-express. My cousin's aunt and uncle, not my parents, my mother's brother's wife's brother, I believe, and his probably wife, although I didn't really ask, and who knows these days. Get out a pencil and paper if you must. Do this with their daughter, except it's incredibly free rein. We're talking, the child's word is a law, and you're not allowed to do anything about it. It's understandable. The father and my aunt were raised in an environment where their father didn't really care about their opinions. But it is extremely possible to go too far in the other direction if you don't teach the kid about respecting the opinions of others. She is going to have a hard time when she enters the world of real interpersonal interaction, which I hope for her sake comes sooner than age 18. Respect your elders. Respect should be mutual, and my kids shouldn't just take abuse because someone is older than them. I agree with this so much. At 15, I had a blazing row with my aunt. She was in the wrong, but she wanted me to apologize to her because I was a child, and telling my mother that I had no respect for my elders was her most favorite thing. 15 years later, I still won't have anything to do with her, and it's done irreparable damage to my relationship with my mother. Mainly because my mother won't respect my position, and has spent the last 15 years trying to force me to apologize to the aunt and pretend everything is okay and play happy families. This post made me realize my parents didn't raise me so well. They're pretty old, so they had old-fashioned parenting methods. I got spanked until I was 7 or 8 until they decided kids were not for spanking anymore, which isn't that bad. But I also got coddled my whole life. Everything was made easy for me, and I was always told I was the smartest and prettiest and most capable. Left me with high self-esteem and virtually no majorly bad experiences, aside from an abusive sister. But now at 17, I'm still not allowed to do anything for myself. I'm not trusted with any tasks at all, nor am I given any freedom. Worst of all, I'm given no chances to fail because I have no choices. My mom makes all my choices forcibly so that I never suffer any consequences, ever. As for the high self-esteem, I had to do a lot of therapy to recover from, among other things, the crippling realization that I am not, in fact, the smartest and prettiest. Hit me like a train, basically lost all sense of self-worth for a while. Let your kids run wild. Out in the backyard, that is. Kids need to play outside more, discovering stuff, finding cool rocks, poking the ground with sticks, etc. So much this. My son is 4 months old, and I want to encourage this as much as possible once he's old enough. Once he's a teen, he'll have tons of time to binge on Netflix. Now is the time to explore the world together, kiddo. Let's go throw rocks in the pond together. See how they splash? Let's sit on the edge and take off our shoes and socks and put our feet in it. Let's build a tree home for the fairies in the forest. We can make them a soft bed from moss and use a leaf for a bedsheet. If we put enough flat rocks in front of it, they even have a path leading up to their house. My grandpa did this with me. I will cherish this memory forever. Let's go to the botanical gardens and sniff all the flowers. It's raining outside. Let's go dance in it. Feel the rain in your face, and then take a hot bath together and blow bubbles and make our hair look funny with shampoo. Draw. Create. Use clay, paper, paint, whatever you can find. We used to make seasonal trays. In autumn, we'd go to the woods and collect pretty-looking mushrooms and moss and make a nice little still life filled with seasonal stuff. A thunderstorm. We used to count the time between the flash and the sound. 2 little girls standing in front of the window with their dad, eyes wide in astonishment. I so hope to give my son the same joy in discovering the world around us. Make your kids give hugs and kisses to show affection to relatives, friends, etc. I've always let my son decide who he wants to hug and kiss. He can't say no. It teaches him he's allowed to have boundaries. Read your child's diary just to make sure they aren't doing anything that could be harmful. And confront them when they write something that you don't like. And then when they get upset and ask why you read their diary, say, "This is my house and I own everything in it, so I have a right to know what you're doing." Then the kid doesn't feel comfortable writing in their diary ever again and doesn't have any sense of privacy. This can lead to them penting up their feelings with no outlet to express them without judgment, and that can lead to angst, depression, and/or violence. Kid is obviously being bullied on a playground. Adults brush it off as kids being kids. Or if a boy is bullying a girl and they say, "Oh, he just likes you." Don't teach kids that people show affection by bullying. That's setting them up for bad relationships. Don't do that or I'll call the policeman and tell him you have been naughty. Seriously, parents, do not do this. Kids need to trust the police. Teaching them to fear police at a young age is not cool. My mom used to say, "They're coming to get you," whenever we'd hear sirens. As a middle-aged, law-abiding-ish woman, I still get nervous sitting in my own house when I hear a cop car on blast. Save money by buying a used car seat. Car seats, like helmets, are better bought new because you never know the history they have, and you're better off making sure your child is safe. To further clarify, a car seat or a helmet that's been involved in an accident might be compromised even if it appears to be fine. Hairline cracks, material fatigue, a strap being overextended, any one of a dozen different things might be wrong and literally cause the death of your child if you use it and get into an accident. These things are meant to save you from death once and then never be used again. Material fatigue is really underrated. These things are made mostly of plastic and foam. Even if you know the history of the car seat, it's been baking and freezing, exposed to UV rays, and had a kid in it being a kid. Ever find a plastic bottle in the back of a junk car? It crumbles like the flaky crust of a burnt croissant. If you're ever in desperate need for a child seat, contact your local firehouse, police station, or hospital to see if free ones are available, or if you can get a coupon or discount or voucher for a new one. They will be brand new and meet or exceed the requirements to be legal and safe. Give your child a unique and meaningful name. Don't forget to spell it ever so intricately as possible too. You really want to make sure they are the only one. You really want to make sure they are the only one who can ever spell their name right. Tell your kid to suck it up when things get tough. If I've gotten to the point where I'm stressed and emotional enough to break down in front of my parents, something is very wrong and I've most likely been sucking it up for weeks already. I handle stress well, but we all have our breaking points. Thanks to their helpful advice, I'm afraid to let anyone know if something is bothering me because I don't want to look weak or sound like I'm complaining. It took me years to be able to communicate my stress to my SO, and I still struggle with it. And yes, I'm a woman.